Hey there, how's it going, everybody? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Ben.
Happy New Year. You didn't tell me we were going to be having eggnog.
Eggnog, that's Christmas.
That's okay. I don't know. I don't see people are in the holiday season. I don't know what traditions are.
Well, Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope you all had a great Christmas and all of that kind of stuff. Did you have a good Christmas, mate?
I had a pretty quiet Christmas.
Yeah.
So yes, it was great. Um, my father took off for Geelong to help out some friends. My sister was off doing weird stuff with her in-laws. So I spent the day on my PlayStation 5 being having my I was going to say being but having my ass kicked by what I'm assuming are 6-year-olds
it
on
does.
Fortnite.
I mean, it does sound like the most depressing Christmas day ever until people actually know you and understand that that's a pretty good day.
It's a pretty good day. I don't know what you mean. What is that? So yeah,
Meaning that we both don't like people.
people. Yeah, how was your Christmas, mate?
Pretty good. Did the family thing, and it was a nice day. I don't like the travel aspect of Christmas when you have to bounce, to far off places, but
Where
it
did
was
you
good.
go? Whose family did you go to? Yours or your partner's?
I went to mine, and yeah, so it was a nice day. It's good to be there when there's kids and you can watch them open the presents because that makes it kind of worthwhile. If there's no kids involved in presents, it's just another family occasion.
Yeah,
But no, it was good. And your New Year's, you have a good New Year's, which was only what yesterday.
it was only yesterday. Oh yeah, like, as I explained to my work colleagues when they sent a Happy New Year text this morning, I said I was asleep by 10. It was magnificent.
It was the first year in memory that I've had a night in on New Year's Eve. Like usually Mel and I like to go and find something. It doesn't have to be something big. We just like to be with people on New Year's Eve. It's a weird thing. I don't like people, but I'm selective on those I like to be with on New Year's Eve.
Mm.
But this was the first year that we didn't do that. And then lo and behold, half the people I'm chatting to, they're all spending the night in too. So it was like a couch
It
fest.
was the first year that I didn't have to make up bullshit as to why I couldn't hang out with people because I got zero invites. So it's finally worked. The years of knocking back invitations, the message has finally got through that Ben doesn't like to leave the house.
I have toyed with the idea of doing a Good Movie Monday New Year's Eve shindig just for all of the players, but I never bring it up because I know for a fact that half of them will just say, "Nah, I got plans." So
It would just be you and me.
yeah, that's all.
You
You know
can't
what?
you can't get
I
the
wouldn't. I wouldn't hate that.
no, it'd be fine. But you
We could
couldn't
do
get
it.
that. We should just set up that fancy new green screen you've got
Yeah.
and just put Channel 9 in the background on silent on the green screen and just talk in front of it.
Well, no, yeah, we should do a live New Year's Eve stream. See if anyone actually tunes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, what are we here for? We're here to actually finally address the best movies of 2022. Better late than never.
Well, what do you mean? Like it literally the year only ended yesterday.
No, but you know what? And I kind of agree with you. Like, it's not too late. This is the perfect opportunity to do it because the year is over. We're one day in.
Yeah.
Let's go. But I notice that most people online and organizations too are doing it just after Christmas. And I'm like,
No,
have you given yourself time?
that's incorrect. They're wrong. I use that 5 days between Christmas and New Year's to desperately try and catch up on all the potentially good films that I haven't seen in the year that have since come out on streaming or
Yeah.
physical media. It didn't work. I have to admit that it did not work. I spent those 5 days. I binged watched Wednesday, Outer Banks, and The Recruit instead of watching movies like I was supposed to be.
And that's funny because I've spent a lot of my downtime just binging television as well. Like I've doing the National Treasure. I've doing
I
the
did
new.
did that as well.
Yeah, that was quite fun. I did the new 1923 up until where they're at. I've done Mosquito Coast and I've actually just started going right back to the start of Jack Irish and doing those again. So like we're supposed to be like, I'm supposed to be catching up on movies, particularly with some things I've got going on, but no,
No,
no, just
this
TV.
is look. It's even movie nerds need a break every now and then.
And isn't that funny too? Like, people always envy us for what we kind of do for a living because it all revolves around movies. And I understand that. But there is a level of fatigue by the end of the year where you're like, I'm done with movies. Like I'm over it. I need a break, and that's where TV swoops in and sort of does the trick and fills the gap.
Yeah, like sometimes, very rarely, I actually want to get off my ass and do something, and not sit in front of the TV watching
Yeah.
a
Well,
movie.
the other thing too is I this year in particular I've done a self-imposed will not do any sort of work while I'm on my downtime. So that means, and what are we doing here? We're doing some podcast work, but we promise some filler videos and content throughout the summer. So that's what this is. But at the same time, the second I stop and I'm not my laptop's down, I'm not actually doing any work. That's all I want to do. It's like get in there and start recording or do something. But so here we are to record. Let's go through our top 10 list for 2022. Should we go? We'll start from 10, work our way through to 1. Should we go 10, 10, 9, 9? Like
Let's
that?
do that.
All right.
Yeah.
How about you go first?
All right, my number 10 is Dick Dale's Rib Spreader.
Oh, mate, that made my honorable mentions.
Had to put it in there. The guy has worked so hard on this film, and it is a truly magnificent Australian trauma film.
Yep.
Look, it had to go in. There are, it's hard to, when you see some of the films that I left off, things like Avatar, and you're like, Avatar didn't make it in, but Rib Spreader did. Fuck yeah. Because believe it or not, I think the story is much better in Rib Spreader than it is.
Well, yes. I mean, and the other thing too, like
you, me, and everyone not watching this at home.
Your average, Joe would look at Rib Spreader and like think, "What the fuck is this? Shit, trashy shit." But if you are into trashy shit, no, yeah, exactly. But if you are into trashy shit and you understand it on a certain level, Rib Spreader is up there with your street trashes. It's up there with some of Troma's most iconic films. And I'm not saying that to blow smoke up Dick Dale's ass. Like it is, it surprised me. I didn't know he had it in him, and I'm so thrilled that he did.
I thought it was great. I thought everything about it was fantastic and hilarious. My old boss Neil Foley is the villain in the film.
The Flower Man.
Not to give anything at the Flower Man. He is absolutely brilliant. Lawrence Harvey, like a bunch of people I know are in it.
Yes,
it's just excellent all around.
Yes, I completely agree. And Dick knows how I feel. I sent him personal messages just to congratulate him and just to genuinely tell him how I felt about the film. It's for everybody watching, he's put years and years of dedication into this, and it's finally come to fruition. And I hope it does well on a global level. Like I hope it actually hits some festivals. I don't know what kind, but I hope it finds an audience around the world. No, you know what I mean? Like you got your Troma festivals, and you've got
it'll go to your genre film festivals.
Yeah, and underground ones and things like that. But I do hope it finds a global audience. And
it played the Adelaide Fringe. It had its world premiere at the Adelaide Fringe. So.
Yeah, hey, we know that we've got a pocket of fans over in Kentucky and surrounding states. So if you're watching this or listening, hit up or look up Rib Spreader by Dick Dale. It's well worth your time. That's a great number 10. Made my short list of sort of honorable mentions, but didn't quite make the 10. And so my number 10.
It's like you're gearing up to throw to somebody, and I'm like,
I was gearing up for a segue, and I'm like, oh, I'm throwing to myself. Ambulance, the Michael Bay film.
So I didn't get a chance to watch this. It was on it's the films that I really wanted to watch prior to doing this list, and it was Ambulance was on that list.
Yeah,
and I'll just have to watch it. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, prior to us recording this, we had a brief chat, and I presented to you your last year's top 10, and you're like, "What?"
I think it was actually the year before. I think it was 2021.
Was it? Well, whichever it was, I think it was 22. But whatever it was, no, you're right, 21. Whatever it was, you're like, why did I choose that? And I'm like, well,
what put those in there?
You're the same predicament as this year, my friend. Just haven't had time to watch everything. But Ambulance, I chose it, and it must be said that these are not necessarily the best films of the year. They're just our favorite films of the year. At least they are for me. Yeah. And Ambulance was just a total flashback to the movies of the 90s that Michael Bay used to make. The kind of movies that are not, necessarily politically correct. They're not necessarily, towing a trend. They're just balls to the wall action movies that don't relent, and Ambulance doesn't relent. It's action nonstop from start to finish, and I've really got a kick out of it. It felt very similar to Wrath of Man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I definitely have to watch it because that
Yeah.
was in my top 10 from on that list. And
Yeah.
that's the one I was like, yeah, that should. And I think Zola was number 1 on that list, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that was a tough choice between Zola and Wrath of Man.
You love Zola though. You really, really talk
I
that one up.
really like Zola.
Yeah. I got a hair in my face. What the fuck? Anyway, your turn, number 9.
Number 9 for me is Fresh.
Ah, yes.
The Disney Plus, the surprising Disney Plus film that we luckily got to see in the cinema.
Yes.
For a preview screening, starring Sebastian Stan and now her name's just gone right out of my head. She was also the star of Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember her name. Otherwise, I would have jumped in.
And Normal People, and she's in the War of the Worlds TV series. Not Felicity, but something like that. I really liked it. There. I think after the screening, a lot of people were like, but I was thoroughly entertained through the whole thing. I thought everyone in it was great, super charismatic. It was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like that one too. It didn't make my short list or anything, but looking back on that one, it just like it's another movie where it does have a message that it doesn't beat you over the head with it. You know, like it's got political context, whatever. But just really, really surprising. And there's a few films that kind of have a very similar tone to it this year, which may get sort of mentioned as we go through. But my number 9 is Orphan 2. Orphan First Kill.
Yeah.
Which I guess, I mean, ordinarily you'd think, why would Orphan 2 make a top 10 list for the year? But it just surprised me that much that a sequel to an okay movie, in my mind.
The first one was excellent.
I know, we've had that conversation, right? I wasn't that taken by it, but this one came along and just built upon it, expanded on it. Like, it just was so much better than the original and clever. It didn't repeat the twists and turns of the original. It had its own.
It's one that couldn't, because that's the big reveal of the first one.
Yeah.
Is out there. So all of a sudden the filmmakers have to go somewhere different. And a big, a big round of applause to both the lead actress, whose name I don't know, and Julia Stiles, who I think we talked about this when we talked about the film.
Yeah.
For the first half of the film, you're like, geez, Julia Stiles is a terrible actress. By the end of the film, you're like, Julia Stiles is the greatest actress in the world.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. Like, I think, who did we see that with? We were with people, I think, but I remember a general conversation. Everybody was like surprised. Jesus Christ, that was good. It might have been Emma, and we were just all saying that caught us off guard, and it's I can't remember the guy's name that directed it, but he did The Boy and Boy 2 Brahms and movies like that. So I kind of I like what this guy does on screen. And anyway, there we go. Orphan 2, number 8 for you, my friend.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, my number 8 is Orphan First Kill.
Wow, there you go. A nice tidy video. Just speed through it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to it?
No, not really. I think I managed to say everything I was going to say about it just then. So
all right. Well, then my number 8 would be Beast with Idris Elba.
Wow.
Yeah, and once again, I think most of these movies are movies that surprised me. I went in with a certain expectation and came out thoroughly entertained. And Beast was, I was expecting a creature feature, adhering to all the tropes and things like that, and it did. But it just did them so well. Like, I jumped out of my seat more times than I can remember. Even though I kind of knew where it was going, there were a few surprises here and there. I think it laid out some subtext that paid off later in the film very nicely. And it's just been a long time since we've had a really, really effective creature feature. I think Crawl was the last one I can think of that affected me the same way. So yeah, Beast gets a big thumbs up for me.
Yeah, excellent. Well, then my number 7, I'm constantly having to refer to my list because I have the memory of a goldfish, is Ti West's X.
Is it Ti West or Ti West?
Ti West, I don't know.
Probably
Ti West sounds better.
Yeah, well, what we're doing is
spelled T-I, which is odd.
I think it's Ti West, but we're covering the bases for people that in other countries can't pronounce Thai.
Yeah.
Might be some South Africans out there that know Ti West,
Yeah. Well, I'm just going by his initials. There's a full stop after the T.
One that made my honorable mentions again.
See, and look, unfortunately, one of the other films that I didn't watch was Pearl, thanks to the lack of a theatrical screening for it, which may actually still happen in 2023. Now that Universal has picked it up for Australia, it may get a theatrical release. Who knows? Even if it's a limited one. But for me, I thought X was kind of it's probably my favorite Ty West film since House of the Devil.
I think it is my favorite of his films. I think it's his most accomplished.
Yeah, definitely. And look, people who've listened to the show know that I'm a dirty sleaze bag, and it had some amazing dirty sleaze moments in it, which I really appreciate. It had Martin Henderson, who we got to talk to, who was lovely, and we had a great chat. I got to talk about talk. Amazing. Yeah. So that's definitely on my top 10 this year.
Yeah, that was a really great film. You know what kind of I think ruined some of the mojo for me with that one is I was at a screening for it and my phone went off in my pocket just relentlessly. Just it didn't stop, so I had to kind of look at my phone, and it was work related, and it's something I had to address there and then. So I kind of missed 10 minutes of movie because I'm trying to address stuff that was work related. So that kind of probably threw a spanner in it for me. But yeah, it's such an effective movie, just conceptually, stylistically, and the fact that he filmed Pearl at the same time is incredible.
Yeah,
and no one knew.
Yeah, and it was made in this part of the world in New Zealand.
Yep.
With Mia Goth, who's just kicking goals at the moment. Brittany Snow, as I said, Martin Henderson, and Wednesday Addams herself.
Totally.
Is in it, and she's fantastic in it.
Certainly is. What isn't Mia Goth is such a great screen name.
Yeah.
Oh, some people you wonder, are these like stage names or real names or and I think that's her real name. Like anyway. So
the ball of luck.
My number 7 is Moon Age Daydream, the David Bowie documentary. Once again, one I got to speak with Brett Morgan, the director. It's an odyssey. It's a musical documentary that documentary is the wrong word for it. It's just a journey into sight and sound, and it sort of, in a way, it's a non-linear narrative. It ebbs and flows through moments of his career and lots of personal footage of him talking to camera. The camera at some point in time through his career followed him on side things he was doing that weren't music related. And have you seen it?
No.
Oh well,
I haven't seen it.
I think if you love David Bowie, it's essential viewing. And if you don't love David Bowie, it might really light the fire, to go and have a look at his career. But it's a long documentary. I think it's 2.5 hours. But it is just loud, colorful, and doesn't slow down. So it's a whole lot of fun. One of the best music docos I've seen in a long time. So there we go.
There we go. Number 6 for me. Now I don't think this is going to appear on 99% of lists for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Is a Bullet Train.
Bullet Train.
I really just nonstop. Like you were saying with Ambulance. For me, Bullet Train was that kind of nonstop, kind of awesome action movie that I liked everyone in it. Yep. I liked the story. I liked everything about it. I thought it was hilarious and just
it's like stylized. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it ticks all the right boxes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really when I look at my list. That's to a degree. That's kind of what it appears I'm into. The same but different. But just done well.
My list is essentially I just need to feel entertained when I come out of the cinema.
Yeah,
like there are so many movies that disappoint. So I feel. I mean, it's been a pretty good year though, particularly with horror films. But I just feel like there's been more entertaining non-horror films this year than previous years. But
yeah.
So my number 6 is friend of the show Matthew Holmes' The Cost, which you screened at Monster Fest. Really, really cool little homegrown revenge thriller that's just a nasty little treat. It's got a simple story of 2 blokes getting revenge on a rapist that raped their husband and sister.
The way you say that, 2 blokes, just a couple of blokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
A
couple of blokes having a drink / getting revenge on a rapist.
Pretty much. I mean, once again, it's a genre that's been done to death. Like there are so many rape revenge genre movies, and it's not quite rape revenge in the sense that the female gets retaliation. It is the loved ones that get revenge on her behalf. Because I think we won't go into the story, but
let's not spoil it for anyone.
yeah, it is a nasty little treat. Matthew Holmes, it's a surprise for him because he's come off historical dramas like Twin Rivers and The Legend of Ben Hall, which anyone that watches or listens to the show knows that I'm a big fan of his and his work. And this was came out of left field. I didn't know he had that in him to go in this direction, and just had me at the edge of my seat all the way through.
Excellent. Well, funnily enough, for my number 5, it's another film that we screened at Monster Fest. It's a French film called Lockdown Tower.
Oh, you've told me about this one.
Yeah, it's a super bleak film about a group of people kind of basically trapped in an apartment building in France, while it's surrounded by this blackness. Is the only way to describe it. And anything that goes into the black just automatically dies or gets cut off. So you stick your hand in there, your hand is cut off, and your arm's just perfectly cauterized. And it's just these people, and it takes place it kind of goes over years, and so you watch what kind of what happens to these people. And I thought it was super interesting because usually in these movies I find like any good Dinar Koots novel. He's got a great idea, gets to a certain point, and they're like, "How do we end this?" And so the endings are always weird, or they figure it out, and they're only in there for a couple of weeks, and everyone's devolved into savagery after this short period of time. But this movie goes, "What if it's years?"
Yeah, right. That's something that something Stephen King does as well. Gets to the end, he's like, "Shit, I didn't think about this part."
Let's just wrap it up.
Yeah, that's right.
This movie was truly excellent. I have no idea about when it's coming out, if it's coming out locally, when it's coming out locally, who's bringing it out. I don't know. But
I'm looking forward to it, man, because you suggested I get along to see this one, and as you know, I had COVID when Monster Fest hit. And how long ago was Monster Fest now? Because I kind of still have COVID. I've got long COVID, and all the symptoms are still with me, and it's killing me, man.
It was the end of November, so it's been a month.
Yeah, I tell you what, it feels like a lot longer. But every morning I'm waking up feeling like shit. But anyway, that's another story. So, what number was that?
That was number 5.
So my number 5 is another Aussie movie, Seriously Red, which is a movie
which you didn't want to see. You did not want to see.
I was not taken by it. In the marketing sense, the ads didn't do much for me. And then lo and behold, I watched it for work, and it blew my mind. It's very similar in style to, say, Muriel's Wedding. It's got that sort of larrikin Aussie ochre feel to it. I kind of like it more than Muriel's Wedding, which is blasphemous for a lot of people, I'm sure. But Crew Boylan is the lead actress, and she wrote the film. And it's essentially about a woman who discovers her calling as a Dolly Parton impersonator. And in order for her to succeed, her manager decides to partner her with a Kenny Rogers impersonator. And so these two go on the road as Kenny and Dolly. But the interesting thing is, Daniel Webber plays Kenny. His character is so invested in Kenny that you never get any real backstory on who he is. Even when they're in their private life, he's so traumatized by something in his past that he just hides as Kenny Rogers. And it's not only very, very funny, but it's earnest, and it's got a real deep sort of sentimental aspect to it. So,
do they mention Kenny Rogers chickens?
I can't remember. I'd have to go back and watch it again and see if I can pick up on that. But it's also got Bobby Cannavale in it. He's great. He plays like a boss, but also a former Neil Diamond impersonator. So he's very funny. There's a lot of
up in a lot more Aussie films now that he's married to Naomi Watts.
No, Rose Byrne.
Is it Rose Byrne? Oh, Rose Byrne. Sorry,
Rose Byrne. And Rose Byrne is in it too.
Yeah, right. Who's the one that was married to Naomi Watts? Oh, it's
Liev. No, not Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber. Yeah,
and he was in Mental, which is similar kind of movie. But yeah, so Bobby Cannavale, Rose Byrne, and a few others. Danny Minogue pops up as a cameo, and it's just a
Danny Minogue impersonator.
Yeah, totally. and it's funny. It's very funny. I highly recommend it. I'm looking forward to watching it again. And we will have Crew Boylan on the show. I spoke to her for work, and she's keen. So look out for that this year.
Cool.
All right, your number 4.
Number 4 is a movie I managed to catch at MIFF this year, Emily the Criminal.
Right. Tell me about it.
Starring Aubrey Plaza.
Oh yeah, now I know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a departure for Aubrey because it's a pretty kind of hardcore drama, crime thriller type movie about this woman who kind of she's a artist / kind of graphic designer, but due to a criminal infraction in her youth, she's struggling to find work in her chosen field, and she's like struggling under a weight of student debt and all sorts of stuff, and she kind of gets dragged into the world of credit card fraud, and it kind of derails her life. And it's a really good movie. Like, and she, like, you go in thinking that you kind of know who she is, and then it takes a turn. It was really, really strong, a really, really strong kind of indie American film. I thought, like, really good.
Has that hit streaming platforms yet?
I actually have no idea. I don't know.
I'll be looking out for it. It does sound good.
I believe it has come out overseas on streaming platforms.
Of course it has.
But whether it's come out here, I don't know. But it's definitely, look, it was on MIFF Play for a while too.
Awesome. What have I got for number 4? Barbarian.
Oh, okay. This is my number 2.
Number 2. Well, we'll skip through that. You can add to this conversation. We've spoken about this one quite a bit. I think not only did we do a video for it, but on the Christmas episode, we spoke about it. Excuse me. A surprise movie. It just went in all kinds of directions that I wasn't expecting. I had very little knowledge of it, except for the basic premise of the what do you call it? Not an Airbnb or whatever it is.
It wasn't Airbnb, and that's the thing that's amazing about it. Really, is that all the marketing and stuff was about the Airbnb stuff, which is really only the first 20-30 minutes of the film.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you get such a heavy focus in the marketing to misdirect you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, who was it? It was Melzi was talking to me about another movie that they were promoting for Melbourne Horror Film Society, and they put the trailer for the movie. I think it might have been Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. The trailer went up, and all of the spoilers and twists and turns are in the trailer.
Well, yeah.
It's like, so, Barbarian could have easily gone that way, and they just chose to give you a basic premise and then surprise the shit out of you. And I think that's what makes it even scarier, because you just have no idea where you're going.
And perfect casting too. Like, they really played up. They played on your preconceptions of the cast.
Yep,
totally. Really well.
They've cast them for that purpose. Yeah, for sure. All right, what's your number 4? Or was it 3? Number 3.
My number 3 is Black Phone.
That's my number 2.
Number 2. There we go. We swapped. Which I like. It was a perfect kind of throwback 80s or 70s horror film. Very similar in certain aspects to both Fresh and Barbarian, I thought. And the Sixth, with nods to the Sixth Sense and a whole bunch of kind of other cool horror films. Just like really slick, really what's the word? Like you said earlier, kind of, it hit all the marks perfectly. Like, you knew what it was kind of going in, and it was just pitch perfect in kind of every way.
Yeah, I think so. What I really particularly liked about this one, and once again, this is interesting that we're hitting quite a few movies that we've spoken to the filmmakers on the show. So there's an interview with Scott Derrickson who addresses this kind of stuff, but it came at the right time when everybody's feeling nostalgic for the 80s or the 70s. So Stranger Things had come along and sort of whet our appetite for BMXs and that kind of thing, and childhood for our generation.
Just a time before mobile phones. Really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It actually doesn't matter 80s, 90s, 80s, or 70s. It's just what's most noticeable is the absence of handheld devices and the internet.
Yeah. And what I loved about this, though, and this is what Scott Derrickson also said, is that it didn't romanticize our nostalgia. He's like, I wanted to depict the childhood that actually existed, and therefore there's schoolyard fights, and they're nasty as fuck. Like they are brutal, and I remember those fights at school.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I
love
remember.
the toughest guy in school, or the third toughest guy in school, or whatever they rank it. His fights are so awesome.
Yep, yep. And so I liked the era it depicted, and it had a definite sense of realism, which kind of I think counterbalanced when it goes into fantasy realms.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm glad you've put that in your list because that's definitely number 2 for me. But so we're up to number.
We need to go to each other's number ones now because
No, I've still
my
got
number 2 is Barbarian, which we've talked about. Your number 2 is Black Phone, which we've talked about. So it's
okay.
Really
I've still got number 3 to go.
I thought you just. What was your number 3?
I haven't done it yet because we're talking about Black Phone, which was yours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers would be my number 3, which I just again surprised me. It was way better than it should have been. Very, very clever. Little bit meta. I don't like it when films go too meta, but this one was just the right amount to sort of to trigger those people that were fans of the show back in the day. And yeah, not much else to say about it. But I don't usually gravitate.
Didn't we get a salty comment about this film on Facebook or
TikTok?
TikTok,
I think it was. Yeah, because I was having this kind of conversation and talking it up, and how much it surprised me. And some wanker just came in and said, "Oh, grown men talking about kids' movies, like Get a Life or something like that," which I thought was hilarious. It's like my response was on a movie show. Go figure,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't want to like. This is the kind of thing that kind of we dealt with pre-Big Bang Theory. Then the Big Bang Theory comes out, and all of a sudden everyone's a nerd, and it's cool. Like, well, I guess it actually wasn't Big Bang Theory. It was the episode 1, Star Wars episode 1. When that came out, all of a sudden it was cool to be a nerd. And
the irony of this, though, whoever that dickhead was, his handle and avatar on TikTok was like manga.
Yeah. They're for adults, man.
Yeah, it's cartoons for adults.
They're fucking these cartoons.
That's right. They got dicks.
They're tentacles rape chicks, man.
And don't they love that?
They do. All right, so my number one film of the year. No surprise. I've mentioned it multiple times throughout the year. This is my number one. Going to be my number 1 film of the year, and it is my number 1 film of the year. It is An Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Why the fuck did I not instinctively go
I was
with
looking
that?
at your face going, how can you not know?
I know. I'm anticipating something like epic, and I'm like, should have fucking known.
Because Nicolas Cage gives good smooches. And really,
drinking game.
What more do I need to say? It's just totally magnificent.
I can't wait to watch it again. I've got it sitting on the shelf behind me, and it's probably the perfect viewing for downtime. Yeah, just a wonderful, clever concept, and it made my honorable mentions right next to Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're on par for me. Sort of.
See, I didn't. Everything Everywhere All at Once did not make my honorable mentions. It is it's on my list, but it was never a serious one on my list because I just didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I liked it, but I think fatigue got the better of me in that one. It went on a bit too much, and I just sort of came out going, "Oh, when is it going to end?"
Like I can appreciate it for everything that's in it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, there's some good butt plug stuff in there.
There's some and sausage fingers,
and the rocks,
hilarious, but and fucking what's her name is in it, which is a kind of a return to form.
Hang on, you're talking about Data and Short Round?
Yeah, Short Round.
I can't remember his name. Key something. Yeah. What a return too. Like
not Ernie Reyes Jr.
It was like he hadn't been anywhere. Like he was, he just came back on the screen bounding. Like he'd just been making movies the whole time.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at his IMDb. I'm going to guess he's got movies lined up. How could he not have a complete comeback after that?
Yeah.
Anyway, good one, mate. My number 1, just for that nostalgic reason, was Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. It just I saw it's the only movie this year I've seen 3 times at the cinema.
Yeah, right.
It really impressed me that much. I like that it was just a no nonsense 80s style movie. You know, there's no beating around the bush with it. It was simplistic, yes, but it hit those. It's a Bruckheimer production. You know, like
Yeah,
if you've seen a Bruckheimer production from the 80s, then that's what it is. And the
it is.
soundtrack was great. The sound design was great. The practical stunts were amazing. And once again, we've interviewed two of the stars on the show.
I look, it's in my honorable mention. I did not include it in my top 10 primarily because I figured, is this a movie that I think is great now? And then if I look back on this list uh, in 2 years' time and go, what was I thinking? I haven't even thought about this film again since seeing it
Well,
theatrically.
interesting you say that because oh, hey, I just heard feedback. I'm talking to myself now. I wonder if that's coming through on the video.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, maybe just the voices in my head. So what was I going to say? I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't help
Oh
you.
no, you were talking about whether it will hold up,
Hold up. Yeah.
later on, and I kind of don't care because like I'm judging these purely on this year how I felt about them, and they're my favorites as opposed to best. But we saw Avatar: Way of Water recently, just before Christmas.
Yes, we did.
I was very impressed with it. I still am impressed with it, but even since seeing it, my opinion of it has diminished greatly.
Look,
Same thing happened with the first one.
yeah, look, I mean, for me, Avatar it's this year's West Side Story. I can appreciate it for the monumental feat of filmmaking that went into
Yep.
making it, but I thought it was, and like I've heard, I listened to an interview with James Cameron talking about it and talking about his writing style and how he basically works backwards from, I've got a couple of scenes in mind with some cool shit, and then I write backwards from that,
Yeah.
and that totally feels like what this film is. There's a lot of unnecessary. It just should have been 90 minutes.
It should
90
have. I
minutes
think
would have been fantastic. It
yeah,
just
and
didn't need to be as epic as he wanted to make it. I mean, it's not fucking Ben-Hur
no.
or The Greatest Story Ever Told or any of those kind of Hollywood epics. How the West was won, any of that sort of stuff. It is a fucking. It's a science fiction action movie. 90 minutes, max 120.
Yes, and he is leading the charge with this whole promise of we've got 5 or 6 more to come. Don't make them all 3 hours. Just don't.
I mean, look, and his response to a lot of that has been, you'll binge watch 8 hours of a TV show, so don't talk to me about having to sit in the cinema. But my knee started to ache from being bent in the same position for so long.
I do binge watch a lot of stuff, but I also have a pause button and a toilet I can visit.
Yeah.
I've got food I can get. When you're at IMAX in the middle, it is not easy to.
And I can look at my phone.
Yeah, that's right.
I can. I can think about other things.
So anyway, like off topic from the top 10, but yeah, Avatar, like it should have been 90 minutes. I agree. They all should be 90 minutes at best.
Well, Monster Fest made me really appreciate the 75 to 80 minutes.
Yeah, they're the best.
We had a few of those, and they were all excellent.
Yeah, I mean the duration has been dictating a lot of my viewing over the last few months. Anyway, like my personal viewing, not work viewing. I just like, how long is this?
I remember Jarrett mentioning when I kind of was first started working with Jarrett, and he'd talking about how he would he'd pull out DVDs or Blu-rays and go, "Oh, it's 70 minutes. Yep, I'll watch that one tonight." Thinking, it never even occurred to me to check the running time of a movie.
I do that.
And now I'm 100% on board with it. Yep, 80 minutes. Yeah, I'll watch this one. 120 minutes. No.
Because and the funny thing is, and that's perfect if you kind of know what you want to watch, right? But if you're flicking through Netflix, that time frame diminishes as you go because half an hour later I've lost half an hour, so now we're looking for a 70-minute movie, now we're looking for a 30-minute episode of something, and suddenly it's like I'll just watch a YouTube video.
Yeah
and
then that'll turn into 3 hours of YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's right. And it does.
What have you got? Just give me a list to run down of your honorable mentions.
Okay, well, I had Rib Spreader and X in there, which we spoke about. I had The Fabelmans in there. Really enjoyed that, the Spielberg film, and I really, really want to watch that for a second time because I think there's a lot more to get out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I had Men in there as an honorable mention. I had Good Luck Leo Grand with Emma Thompson. I thought that was really good.
I haven't seen that.
And then two more. I had The Banshees of Inisherin, which yeah, the more I think about that movie, the more I like it. And Halloween Kills. Or ends, I should say.
Halloween ends. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Be careful. You don't want to. I had in my list. I had Violent Night, which I thought was really great.
That was good.
Amsterdam, which I enjoyed. Smile, Top Gun Maverick. I had The Lost City, which was a surprisingly entertaining.
It was entertaining
film, and I'm a big Sandy fan, so no surprise there. Predator Prey, I thought was really, really, really strong.
Yep.
I would have loved to have been able to include that. I had Confess Fletch, which I was not expecting anything of, but thoroughly enjoyed. Banshees of Inisherin, as you mentioned. And this is a funny part is, and I don't know if they count as this year or not, because there were quite a few films from 2022 or 2021 that I watched as part of our Oscars episode.
Yeah,
which were still theatrical in Australia at the start of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm never really sure if they counted or not, because
always
Drive
tricky.
My Car,
yeah,
which was absolutely fantastic. But all of those, what was the Guillermo del Toro one?
Yes, the Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley, I thought was really strong.
Yeah,
there was, a bunch of those Oscar films could have been included on my list for this year, because I did only watch them for the first time this year. But I try to keep it for 2022.
Yeah,
2022 films that were released here were released this year everywhere.
Guaranteed, there are going to be movies all throughout the year that I watched from 2022. And I'm like, oh, damn it, like, goddamn. And no doubt there's going to be frustration with some people watching, going, why the fuck didn't you choose this? Why didn't you choose that? Whatever.
That's how you kind of have to preference these lists. This is of what I saw and how I feel right now. That could change in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there we go.
I could watch Top Gun Maverick again next week and go, this should have been my number one. I don't think so, but it could happen.
Well, there we are. There we go. Our top 10 of 2022. That was fun. We'll have a couple more videos, no doubt, for you all before we return. The show comes back on March 6th. So, stay tuned. All things Good Movie Monday, because plenty to come this year. Thanks, Ben. That was fun.
Thank you.
And I'll see you on the next video, whenever that might be.